the end, whoever controls silence controls the game. Silence is not just a weapon against others, it is a test against yourself. Because the truth is simple. Most people cannot stand silence. They talk, not because they have something important to say, but because emptiness frightens them. Nietzsche understood that to achieve true strength, you would need to face that discomfort head-on. Now, think about how many times you felt compelled to explain something, to justify yourself, to fill the silence with words that, deep down, were unnecessary. Have you noticed that when you are silent, the people around you start to fidget? They interpret your silence as arrogance, disinterest, even as an attack. This happens because we live in a society that conditions everyone to seek constant acceptance. Remaining silent means rejecting that game, and the rejection of that game is unsettling. Nietzsche saw silence as an act of rebellion. The one who remains silent in the face of noise is saying, without needing a single word, "I do not play this game. I do not need to fit in." This frightens people. They do not know how to deal with someone who does not react as expected, who does not panic to be understood, because deep down, the desire to be understood is a form of dependency. Those who need to be understood are, in a way, asking for permission to exist. But Nietzsche's Übermensch does not ask for permission. He creates his own values, regardless of others' acceptance. And this requires a kind of courage that few possess, because enduring silence means bearing the weight of loneliness. It means accepting that often no one will understand your choice. Look at the great thinkers in history, the visionaries, the revolutionaries. They were not well received immediately. Their ideas were ridiculed, ignored, fought against. But they did not need to shout to be heard. They endured the silence of misunderstanding, the silence of rejection, and continued. Because truth does not need applause to exist. Now think about your own life. How many times have you felt the need to explain your choices, to prove you are right, to seek approval? And how many of those times did it really change anything? Or was your quest for explanation merely a reflection of your own fear of not being accepted? Nietzsche challenges us to go beyond that fear. He forces us to ask, are you speaking because you truly have something to say, or because you fear silence? Do you need to be understood, or are you strong enough to move on without that need? Because those who fear silence will never be truly free. Silence is not just an absence of words. It is a tool, a strategy, a game of power. But like any weapon, it needs to be used at the right moment. Nietzsche did not advocate for never speaking. He advocated for speaking only when necessary. Now think about all the conversations you've had in the last month. How many of them really mattered? How many were just noise? How many times did you find yourself explaining something that didn't need to be explained, responding to meaningless provocations, trying to convince someone who deep down would never change their mind? How many words did you throw away just because you felt the need to fill the silence? Nietzsche saw this behavior as a form of psychological slavery. Those who talk all the time are always reacting to the world, always trying to justify their existence. But those who speak only when they want to, when they choose, when they truly decide it's worth it, they hold power. They command respect. Look at the great strategists in history. They never spoke more than necessary. They knew when to retreat, when to wait, when to remain silent so that others would reveal themselves. And when they finally spoke, their words carried immense weight. Because they were rare, because they were measured, because they were impossible to ignore. The problem with most people is that they speak without thinking. They react. They fall into the trap of provocation, the need to always have the last word. They don't realize that by doing this, they are becoming predictable. Nietzsche knew that unpredictability is one of the greatest weapons one can have. Those who do not react as expected become a mystery. And mystery is always more powerful than transparency. So, how to apply this philosophy? How to use silence strategically? First, learn to observe before responding. Most people respond before fully understanding what is being said. They feel an almost uncontrollable urge to give an opinion, to correct, to argue. But the one who masters silence waits. They observe, they analyze, and only then do they decide if it's worth responding. Second, ask yourself, does this conversation really need me? Not every dialogue deserves your attention. Many discussions are just ego games, meaningless battles where no one is truly interested in the truth. If the conversation adds nothing, if the other side is not willing to listen, what's the point of wasting your energy? Nietzsche would say, let them talk alone. Third, when you speak, speak with weight. If you get used to speaking less, every time you open your mouth, people will stop to listen. Your words will carry a weight that those who talk all the time will never have. You don't need to convince everyone. You just need to speak in a way that makes every word count. Because in the end, it's not about how many words you say. It's about how much impact you make. Now I ask you, do you have control over your words, or do they have control over you? Do you choose when to speak, or do you just react like a robot programmed by the need to express yourself? Nietzsche teaches us that those who speak less but speak with purpose will never be ignored. Those who master silence will never be a slave to noise. In the end, it all comes down to one question. Do you control your silence, or does your silence control you? Nietzsche saw life as a game of forces. In this game, the weak talk too much, try to justify themselves, try to convince. The strong, on the other hand, do not need approval. They understand that the need to speak all the time is just a symptom of insecurity. They know that the absence of words can carry more weight than 1,000 speeches. Silence is not just an empty space. It is a reflection of who you really are. When you are silent, you force the world to see you without distractions. You reveal your true essence. And for many, this is unbearable. Because most people build their identity based on how others react to them. But what if you took away that reaction? What if you didn't give the answer they expect? Who would you be without that need for validation? Nietzsche believed that few are ready for that answer. Few are willing to face the weight of their own silence. But those who do, those who master this art, become unshakable. Because it doesn't matter what they say about you. It doesn't matter what they think. You don't need to explain yourself. Now I want to know from you. When was the last time you remained silent when they expected you to speak? Have you noticed the impact this has on the people around you? Tell me in the comments. And if this idea made you think, if it challenged you in some way, you can't stop here. The next video will take you even deeper. No matter what you think you already know, it's essential that you watch. Watch now.